Hey gang, this will be my vlog for January of 2017, and just want to talk to you about some things. Um, I've recently gotten the '68 Mustang fired up, and that's great, and it sounded great, and I'm really happy about that. But I was getting ready to do the cam break-in, and that's a little bit involved, takes some time, and you want to make sure everything's right. And so I was just starting to do that today, and unfortunately, I found an antifreeze leak. Let me show you where that was. As you can see, I've already taken the intake manifold off, but I spotted antifreeze coming out back here, which is kind of odd because that's really an oil passage. This being the lifter galley, the intake manifold, of course, sits here, and these back here are water ports, but it's odd that I find antifreeze here. So I took everything apart, as you can see, and what I found was there was this gasket sitting up front, and there was no gasket in the rear. Along with that, the intake manifold bolts were probably not torqued to spec. So a combination of things, it was basically seeping out of this back port and thankfully pushing off into this area back here, which allowed for collection of antifreeze at this location. It appears I didn't get any oil or antifreeze in the oil, which is a good sign, and at this point I'm going back together. But it's also gave me a chance to do some detail work, because it's all about the details. Even though this isn't a show car, there's still a matter of details, and to me that's a big detail. I didn't build the engine. A friend of mine built it. I'm not mad. I'm glad I found it, but that's a detail thing, and this is why I always go over and double check, and I have trouble, I say this, trusting other people's work. Another thing I didn't like was when they had painted the heads and the engine, and it's fine. I'm happy with what they did, but this area here where you see blue, that was unpainted and it was starting to rust. So this gave me kind of an excuse to pull the intake manifold and try to detail that up a little bit. It's trivial really, but with rust on the edges, it doesn't look nice. So along with that, there's the intake manifold. That is a Summit intake. I've already got a gasket set ready to go, and I'll be putting that together. But I guess ultimately, it comes down to the idea of doing things the right way and detail work and that sort of thing. And I'm an aircraft mechanic, so I'm picky about stuff. I want it right. I want it to be done right. So I want to relate a story to you, and it's about details and paying attention. Years ago when I was in the military, probably 87, I believe, I had a 67 Plymouth Belvedere, which was a GTX clone. It had a 318 in it, which was junk. In fact, I blew it up, and I decided I'm going to put a 383 in it. I found a 383 Magnum at a junkyard in Casita, Georgia, and ended up that it was out of a 69 or 70 Super Bee. And so I thought, perfect, I have a big block to put in the car. So I had the engine work, I had it vatted, cleaned, and machined. I had new pistons, a new camshaft, and had the heads reworked, and had all the stuff to go together. Well, being in the military, they offer you this, let's say, a workplace where you can pay a small amount of money and work on your car at a shop, and it's incredible. It's a great deal. It saves you a bunch of money. So I was going through building this 383 Magnum, and I'd done stuff like this before, and I was familiar with it, and I researched what I needed to, and I had the information. So I was putting everything together, had the crank in, the pistons, connecting rods, all that stuff, cam, put the timing gear on, had everything indexed according to the instructions and everything else, and I had put the tin work on, the timing cover and that sort of thing. And while I was doing all this, there was a man who worked there who wanted me to pay him extra money for him to help me work on his car. And I thought, well, I said, that's your job. That's why you're here. And I don't have any money to pay anyway. Well, that ended up coming around to bite me. And I say that because I got the engine together, set it in the car, and I didn't have time to fire it up there. So I towed it out, and soon after, I guess it might have been 88, because I got out of the military, and I ended up towing the car back home with me. Well, I fired up the car, fired up the engine, and it sounded pretty wicked for a little while. Well, it ended up being a catastrophe. The exhaust valve on the third cylinder on the driver's side broke off. Apparently, the timing had been manipulated. The gear had been, the cover had been removed, and somebody had rotated the timing gear assembly. And anyway, I ended up breaking off the valve, the head of the valve. It punched a hole in the piston, and it also punched a hole in the cylinder wall. And basically, I had an anchor at that point. So it's about it's about details. It's about paying attention. I'm confident I put it together right, and I feel like this other person felt like they wanted to slight me because I didn't want to pay them extra money. So I still have, actually, I have that valve, and I'll try to find it and post it with this. I saved the head of that valve, and I put it on a keychain, and as a constant reminder that pay attention, do things the right way, and double check your work, because you may only get one chance. And so why screw around and hurry up and end up causing more problems down the road. So anyway, just a little thought from me today, and I'm going to finish up putting this intake back on and go try to finish up the process of breaking in the cam. I still have some things to do, obviously. I'm debating on whether I'm probably going to get an aluminum radiator. I still got to clean up all these little brackets and plates and the assembly here up front. I also have to clean the support braces that go from the firewall to the shock towers. So lots of little things to do. But anyway, that's my thoughts, and hope it means something to you. It means something to me. Thanks for watching. I said I'd find them, and I did. There's the valve I was talking about. It was snapped off. Looks pretty rough, but it's been around a while, and you can see it was just destroyed. And look, there's the keys for the car, and probably one of my trucks. Anyway, there it is.